Okay. Did you get but you saw the email that had your information? Right, okay. What did it tell you? Hey guys, what did it tell you once you put your stuff in? Do you remember what it said? No, okay. Yeah, okay. Because a couple of things that it might say, it should make you go ahead and reset your password. That should be one of the things that it prompts you to do. And if it doesn't tell you to do it, you should just do it automatically. Riley, this is you too. All right, and we'll double check to make sure that you do have that email that has your login information, okay, especially tomorrow. So I'll double check to make sure you got everything right. But we'll go over some stuff. Okay, all right, so here's what we have on the agenda for today. We're going to do a good review and get ready for your unit test tomorrow. We're going to talk about a few things to wrap up the packet. The packet is due today. If you want a paper copy as we go over those last couple of things, I'll give it to you. If not, and I didn't check to see who's already submitted it and who didn't, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay, so guys, if y'all want to just listen as we go over and review for your unit test tomorrow, that's what we're going to do. And I'm actually reading questions from the test, just not making this stuff up. I'm actually going over questions that will be on your unit test for tomorrow, Wild West and cities. All right, I want you to amaze me with the plethora of information that you remember from the last 2 weeks. You keep giving me that crazy look. It's like, do you remember all that stuff? Or no? Yes, yes, yeah, okay. I'm just giving you a hard time. Okay, here we go. Let's see how you do. All right, Homestead Act. Let's start with the Homestead Act. Homestead Act is there for settlers to do what on that 160 acres of land? Yeah, it's supposed to farm on it. Yeah, all right. So we know that the Great Plains are known for one crop in particular, and what crop is that? If they're nicknamed the bread belt, what crop are they most well known? Wheat. Yes, that is their #1 crop. All right, I did not, if you paid attention to me, I told you during that first week of school that there were going to be some questions on your first quiz. I decided not to put them on there. I wanted to ease you into it on that first quiz. But one of them says a glut of wheat on the world market. If there's a glut of something, that's a fancy way of saying what? A lot, yeah. So if we have a lot of wheat on the world market, what is that going to do to prices? They're going to what? They're going to drop. All right. It's just like if you go to Walmart, like the day after Valentine's Day, when you go to Walmart and there's flowers and chocolates and stuffed animals and stuff, what do they do to the price of it? They dropped it because I'm going to get rid of it, right? Like those flowers ain't going to last till next year. Those balloons and stuff won't either. So they drop the price to get rid of it. Well, what do we have to do to wheat? We got to drop the price to get rid of it. Are farmers going to make as big a paycheck? No, right? So that's how it's going to hurt. Okay, so not to be confused with the Homestead Act, we have the Dawes Act. And who is the Dawes Act there to help? Native Americans. To give Native Americans 160 acres of individual reservation land so they can farm on. Doesn't really happen, but they had promised it to them, right? What do we, let's see if somebody remembers. What do we call that? What do we nickname that whenever we promise we're going to do something and then we take it back?
Indian giver.
Yeah, they called that being an Indian giver. And that's why it quite literally comes from the 1800s when we were promising Native Americans money and supplies and land, and then we either changed our minds or we didn't do it or we didn't follow through or whatever the situation is. It's terrible, but that's what happened. Okay, now let's talk about mining. It says that early prospectors, fancy way of saying miners, early prospectors are trying to extract gold, silver, gems, all these things. What is the most common way that we see people mining? You can even do it today if you go to like these little gem mining places. Yeah, panning or pacer mining, doing the pan and water and doing the scoop and all the things, right? What about the other one? The other one that you're going to be tested on? Say it again. Hydraulic. Yes, hydraulic mining is the other one. Whereas it's almost like if you got a firefighter's hose, you know how that water pressure, it comes out, and if it hits you, it feels like you just got hit by a brick wall. Like that water pressure is so hard, and they use it to pretty much erode away anything that's on the surface. Obviously, that's messing up plant life and the environment around it, right? Okay, all right, let's see how you do, because we're doing good so far. What is, what's a vaquero? That was one of your ideas. Yes, Hispanic cowboy. A vaquero, which is, those Hispanic cowboys and ranchers are the ones that taught our guys how to be what we know as the cowboy today. To rope, do rodeos. Fun fact. Okay, speaking of rodeos, all right, we know a rodeo as, being on a bull, holding on for what, 8 seconds, something like that. Anybody ever been to a Mexican rodeo? Just curious. Just curious. Any hands? Anybody ever been to a Mexican rodeo? Just nope. Okay, I have. I'm just saying. They do a rodeo, riding the bull, no hands. No hands. Can you imagine? That's like some massive, like, thigh power. You can imagine just holding on, just thigh muscles. I don't know what kind of workouts these guys do, get the thigh muscles to hold on for 8 seconds, but apparently that's how they do it. Yeah, fun fact. Fun fact. Okay, Sand Creek Massacre. First of all, and I'm sure you have seen enough Halloween movies to know what a massacre is. What is a massacre? Yeah, a mass killing. Mass killing. So Sand Creek Massacre has the Shawnee Native American tribe that comes up to the forts, and John Shivington and his military come out. And the Indians, here's your question. Your question on the test says, what were they there to do? They were there to negotiate peace, had the white flag of surrender, there to negotiate peace. But Shivington and his army go out and massacre the whole entire tribe. Men, women, children, take out the whole entire tribe, because the American government is saying that these Indians are a problem, that if we just get rid of the problem, we'd be a lot better. We'd have more land, right, to settle and mine and ranch and farm and all the things. But they're not going to give up and go down without a fight, because your test for tomorrow wants to know, what are some of the big Indian chiefs that we have talked about? Throw some names out there at me. Crazy Horse, Sitting Bull. We've talked about Chief Joseph from the Nez Perce Indians. And if you're just curious, like why does he have what we would consider a white name, is that missionaries had gone out west and had gone into his tribal village, and when he was a child, they named him Joseph, and that's what stuck. They just, he grew up doing that and didn't change it. So Chief Joseph was chief of the Nez Perce Indians, who actually tried to run away from the army, but they tracked him down, and he gave up. He said, you know what? My people are sitting here dying from exhaustion. Can you imagine dying from exhaustion? Your body is so physically tired that you die. Right? That's what he was witnessing. So Chief Joseph gives up because they can't fight back anymore. His people are dying of disease, dehydration, exhaustion, and they give up. They give up. Okay, let's see. We talked about vaqueros. We know what those are. We said that the Sand Creek Massacre, they came to surrender and were slaughtered. What is the name of the animal that the Indians are hunting out west? It is the American bison, but what do we call it? Called the buffalo. We have the buffalo almost to the point of extinction. And one of the biggest reasons why we need to get rid of the buffalo is because we are putting down a new transportation system that's going to go from East Coast to West Coast and everywhere in between, building a railroad. All right, here's one of your questions for your test. It wants to know, where does this railroad meet and what railroads connect? It's the Central Pacific and the Union Pacific. that will meet at Promontory Point, Utah, 1869 to complete the railroad. From East Coast to West Coast, you now have the railroad that you can take that connects. Okay, let's see. This was also a question from the other week. What is the effect of the Indian Reorganization Act? We're putting Indians on what? Putting Indians on reservations. What state is going to be nicknamed Indian Territory and then it later becomes a state? Oklahoma. Yeah, good. Okay, let's see. Kind of lost my place a little bit on that. I didn't mean to jump around. That's just how it happened. Ooh. All right. Wounded Knee, 1890, last of the Indian battles. The confrontation of Wounded Knee happened all because the U.S. government banned what? What did it make illegal? Yeah, it made it, and that sounds crazy, right? Like, I would be so for it. 2021, if they said they would outlaw like twerking, I would vote for that. I would vote for that. It just looks like dry humping on the dance floor. I would vote for that. I would. But I mean, that's, in all seriousness, that's what they're doing. They're outlawing a dance. That's what they did. They made it illegal for them to practice this dance. And because they continued to perform it, they went down to the reservation, surrounded them, and because of a trigger-happy soldier who fired into the crowd, they all started firing. And they ended up killing over 200 Sioux, most of which were not even armed. So again, another massacre. I mean, it's terrible. But that was the last of the Indian battles, was Wounded Knee. Good. Okay, moving on. All right, why is everybody rushing to areas like Colorado, Arizona, and Montana? What are we looking for? Looking for gold, looking for silver, looking for all the above. Good. All right, let's keep rolling. So far, so good. I think y'all will be all right for tomorrow, no problem. Okay, ooh, good question. This is a good review question. What do we turn petroleum into to put in lamps and stoves? Kerosene. Turn it into kerosene. And that's what we're going to use before electricity becomes widely available, which is a good thing because kerosene, if you know anything about it, is highly flammable. You know, if somebody pushed over your kerosene lamp, you might as well walk outside and pop some popcorn and just watch the whole place burn because it is going to spread so fast. There's no fire department around, you know. Just make it a good bonfire. I'm going to rebuild the next day, right? That sounds like a good time. Nope. Okay. All right, let's see what else we got. Here's another good question. As we're trying to build the railroad, we don't have enough workers. So we're actually going to venture out to this Asian country and hire 10,000 workers to build the railroad. What country? China. Okay, fun fact for you, okay? So there were 10,000 Chinese that were willing to come to the United States to help build this railroad. And they were, I mean, we're only paying them pennies an hour, but they were willing to work with explosives. And when I say explosives, I mean, they were willing to work with liquid nitrogen, that if you tripped and coughed, it would go off and it would blow up you and everybody around you. Like, they were willing to work with explosives. Which you would think, wow, that's a little bit extreme, but they were willing to come to the United States that bad. They were willing to work in those type of environments. It's crazy. Let's see, I had another question, where'd it go? Let's see, ooh, let's talk about, we're switching gears, all right? We're gonna switch from Wild West to last week's stuff on cities, okay? Let's see if you remember who these people are. Who had a monopoly on railroads? Buying up all the railroads. Starts with a V. Anybody? Vanderbilt. You need to know these names for tomorrow, okay? Cornelius Vanderbilt has a monopoly on railroads. Andrew Carnegie is going to have a monopoly on steel. Rockefeller is going to have a monopoly on oil. And then the other guy that we talked about was Jay Gould, who sells stock and tricks Vanderbilt into buying all this extra stock and makes millions off of him. All right. And how that guy ends up living to tell his story, I really don't know. But it's crazy.
Can you say those names again?
Yeah, because you need to know these, and I'll go over them again. All right, so Vanderbilt is, y'all say it. Who is it? Vanderbilt and, but what do you have a monopoly on? Vanderbilt's railroads. Oil is Rockefeller. Carnegie is steel. And Jay Gould was stocks. See? You're impressing me already. Look at that. Now, here's where it gets tough.
What was the steel again? I couldn't hear them.
And
Carnegie. Okay, thank you.
But here's where it gets tough. Where it gets tough is when you start getting into your vocab words that you had to define last week. Like the idea between horizontal integration and vertical integration. All right, we'll go over that in just a second. What is the term, and it is even a board game, what is the term when you control all of the same product? A monopoly. Very illegal today, but not back in the day. Okay, so if Rockefeller starts buying up all these small oil, mom and pop oil refineries, because he is attempting to try and build a monopoly, but he is building his business as a horizontally integrated business. Whereas Carnegie, who has steel, is buying up the steel mines, the transportation cars, delivery service. So he's building vertical integration. Hopefully you don't get those confused, because those are questions on tomorrow's assessment. All right, let's see what else we got. Railroad companies raise most of their money that they need to build their railroads by selling what as they build? The government is going to give them what on either side to sell? What? Gives them land. And so they can sell that land for however much they want and make as much as they want. So that's how they build the railroad, is off selling land. Good. There was another one. Nope. Okay, we're moving on because I can't find it. There are a couple repeat on here, so once you get it once, you got the rest of them. Here's a good repeat question. What two railroads combined to make the Transcontinental Railroad? Central Pacific and the Union Pacific. They both say Pacific, so you know you're on the right way if you see both of them say Pacific. Central Pacific and Union Pacific connect to make the Transcontinental Railroad. Ulysses S. Grant was alive in 1867 during the credit mogler scandal, which is where his people were buying up railroad company stock and selling it at whatever prices they wanted to, and they made millions. And I feel really bad for Grant. All right, Grant was a great general, horrible judge of character as a president. He even apologizes. Like when he leaves the White House, he tells people, I'm sorry that he made really bad choices. And again, he had people that made millions right under his nose, like even some of his best friends that cheated on it. It's terrible. All right. Ooh, speaking of bell ringer, what is a technique that was used for breaking a union in which the company refused to allow workers onto their property? They wouldn't even let them in. What did they do? I think it was one of your IDs from last week, section 4. Almost sure. Lockout. That's all it is. They literally did a lockout. They locked the doors and did not let them in. But you know what they did do? Because you're like, why? Why wouldn't the company want to try and make some money that day, right? They hired replacement workers. They call them strike breakers. They hired replacement workers to come in through the back door of the factory so they could still keep the factory up and going and still run it for the day. Let's see, there was another one. Where'd it go? Oh, a list of troublesome workers is called what? Is a blacklist. Yeah, it's illegal today. You cannot blacklist people today, but a list of troublesome workers is a blacklist. Good. All right, tell me who invents the telephone? Alexander Graham Bell. Who invents the light bulb? Thomas Edison does. Good. All right. Let's see what we got left. All right, an agreement among companies to keep prices at a certain level is known as a pool. And this was one of your ideas from last week. I'm not talking about a swimming pool. A pool is when investors bring together their resources. Like they all chip in. You know, I got $1 million, I'll chip in $1 million, right? Don't we all have a couple $1 million sitting around we could all just throw at something, right? No, that's not y'all? No? Okay. All right. We have the very first advertising company that's going to attract customers in cities using the very first billboards. But last week we said, if you live out on the Great Plains, how can you still buy something from a department store? You can order it through a what? I don't know that people even have these anymore for stores. Catalogs. A catalog, like literally a book that has like a super Walmart in a book. Anything that you can buy from the department store, you can order through a catalog and have it shipped to you. How is it going to come? How is it going to be shipped to you? It's going to arrive via, depending on where you are maybe, but most likely the railroad. Most likely it'll come through the railroad and be left at the railroad station. Okay. All right, I just answered that one. All right, let's do matching and see how you guys do on this. Who was the Native American chief that killed Custer at the Battle of Little Bighorn? Crazy Horse. Good. All right. What's the name of the Lakota Sioux chief that was killed? He was shot in the back at the Battle of Wounded Knee, the last of the Indian battles. Sitting Bull. Good. All right. The Comstock lode is where Henry Comstock found the largest silver supply in this city in Nevada. You may remember the city? Virginia City, Nevada. All right. Later. Oh, no, never mind. Looked at the wrong one. Oh, who did we say the Indian chief was that took his tribe on like a 1,000-mile journey before he was caught? Remember, he's the one that doesn't have like an actual Indian name. Chief Joseph. Yeah, Chief Joseph. Good. All right, let's see. The matching section does have our people. Let's see who remembers. Who had a monopoly on railroads? Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has a monopoly on railroads. Who has a monopoly on steel? Carnegie. Monopoly on oil?
That would be
Rockefeller. Rockefeller, yeah. Yeah, I'm almost done. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute just to wrap it up super quick. Okay, now. And then Jay Gould is the guy that messes with the stock. Alexander Graham Bell gives us the telephone. Thomas Edison, the light bulb. All right, the only people we got left to make sure that you got, and we didn't really go over these people a whole lot because it was that last and final section. I was trying to hurry last week. So we didn't have to Zoom on a Friday because I know you guys wouldn't participate on a Friday, but labor unions. We have, these are the last couple of people on here. The second labor union to get up and actually be working is the American Federation of Labor, and that is Samuel Gompers. Don't you just love that name? It's an interesting name. Samuel Gompers, who runs that labor union, and Eugene V. Debs, who is going to run the American Railway Workers Union. Ladies and gentlemen, I just read through your whole entire test for tomorrow. Now,
can you say the last, the last labor union people again?
Yes, American Federation of Labor. It's also known as the AFL. And I don't remember which one I have it on there as. Might want to know it as both. Yeah. Good. Let me make sure I saw a chat question. Let me make sure that I don't skip over. Okay. All right. We're about done. I'm just going to double check to make sure, but that's the biggest thing, is to make sure that we review for tomorrow. Now, the only thing that we have left, and here's what we have got that is due today, reminder for everybody, is your unit packets. Okay. So let's talk about that super quick. I'm sorry, Riley. Can you give me just one last minute? I'm sorry. I hope that you know the bladder of the champion so that you can hang in with me. Okay, so I think what messed up some people last week, and I'm gonna say it again, is that in our Zooms up until now, obviously from here on out, we'll be doing it in person when you're here with me, is the guided reading in your unit packets. And what some people did not do are the independent pages. So your independent pages for this packet were the section quiz and the Thomas Edison timeline, because we talked about the story. Maybe, I don't know, I forget, one of the Zooms cut out, and I can't remember whose did. But making sure you finish up on the packet. We will do a quick review tomorrow before your unit test, but in a nutshell, that is it. All right, does anybody on the Zoom got a question for me before I cut you out? They're just gonna do some review stuff.
Are you gonna put a video up on your YouTube channel with the review and stuff like you did last time?
Yes.
Okay, I was just making sure so I could like go over it and listen to it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, good deal. All right, guys, have a fabulous Tuesday.
You too.
Thanks.